Hello students, let us talk about H.G.Wells. Visionary writer H.G.Wells was born Herbert George Wells on September 21, 1866 in Bromley, England, and he died in 1946. Wells's parents were shopkeepers in Kent, England. He came from a working class background. His father played professional cricket and ran a hardware store for a time. Wells's parents were often worried about his poor health. They were afraid that he might die young, as his older sister had died. At the age of 7, Wells had an accident that left him bedridden for several months. During this time, the avid young reader went through many books, including some by Washington Irving and Charles Dickens. Now let us see H.G. Wells as a futurist. A renowned futurist and visionary, H.G. Wells foresaw the advent of aircraft, tanks, space travel, nuclear weapons, satellite television, and something resembling the World Wide Web. John Higgs, the author of Stranger Than We Can Imagine, Making Sense of the 20th Century, asserted that Wells' visions of the future remain unsurpassed. He also states that in the late 19th century, Wells saw the coming century clearer than anyone else. He anticipated wars in the air, the sexual revolution, motorized transport, causing the growth of suburbs and proto-Wikipedia he called the world brain. He foresaw world wars creating a federalized Europe. Britain, he thought, would not fit comfortably in this new Europe and would identify more with the US and other English-speaking countries. In his novel, The World Set Free, he imagined an atomic bomb of terrifying power that would be dropped from aeroplanes. This was an extraordinary insight for an author writing in 1913, and it made a deep impression on Winston Churchill. In a review of The Time Machine for the New Yorker magazine, Brad Lethuser writes, "At the base of Wells's great visionary exploit is this rational, ultimately scientific attempt to tease out the potential future consequences of present conditions, not as they might arise in a few years or even decades, but millennia hence, epoch hence. He is world literature's great extrapolator. Like no other fiction writer before him, he embraced deep. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1921, 1932, 1935 and 1946. Now let us note down some famous works of H.G. Wells. The Time Machine, 1895. His first novel, The Time Machine, was an instant success, and Wells produced a series of science fiction novels which pioneered our ideas of the future. His later work focused on satire and social criticism. The Invisible Man, 1897. The Invisible Man is a science fiction novel. The title of the novel refers to a scientist named Griffin who has devoted himself to research into optics and invents a way to change a body's refractive index to that of air so that it neither absorbs nor reflects light and thus becomes invisible. He successfully carries out this procedure on himself but fails to reverse the experiment. His other famous works include Tono Bungay, which was published in 1908, A Short History of the World, which was published in 1922. Now let us see some famous quotes by Wells. Number 1. We all have our time machines, don't we? Those that take us back are memories, and those that carry us forward are dreams. Number 2. If you fell down yesterday, stand up today. Number 3. Sometimes you have to step outside of the person you have been and remember the person you were meant to be, the person you want to be, the person you are. Thank you very much.